name's Marina and I'm clinically depressed and I suffer from GAD. Yay! If you've been on this channel for a while, you've probably seen some hints and references to my relationships and depression, and I've realized I've never actually sat down and opened up and talked to you about my experience with it. And yesterday I was at the doctor's getting more meds. Yay, meds! After I went to the doctor's, I came home and I realized I wanted to sit down and share with you what's been going on the past 2 years, sort of how this madness started and where I am now. And I think I'm in a place where I can safely speak about it without being triggered. The reason why I'm making this video is because I've been getting a lot of comments on my videos on the Living with Depression song, as well as a bunch of my other heartbreak videos that you guys are struggling, and some of you don't know whether you're just sad or depressed. Some of you are really just not in a good place, and I wanted to just be real and transparent with you and let you know that I've been in that place and it's not always going to be like that. So I'm just going to be sitting down friend to friend talking to you about my story and hopefully help you in some way. Let's take it from there. Growing up, I was really fortunate with my family and my living situation when we were in Thailand. They sent me to a really well-respected school, and I didn't get bullied there or anything like that. When we moved to Canada, things were a little bit hard, but nothing really out of the blue, even throughout high school here. Luckily, I wasn't struggling with depression and anxiety yet in high school. I think things were pretty smooth. So things took a little turn when I started going to university, and that was a period of time where I questioned my sexuality and I didn't know who I was, and I was like, do I like girls? Do I like boys? I came out as bisexual, and really now I don't identify as that, but we'll get into that in another video. First year was when I got involved with my first girlfriend, and she was my first kiss, my first everything. We ended up dating, and that relationship lasted for about 1.5 years, and that honestly was the worst relationship I've ever been in my life. It was the most toxic. I can't even describe it, but I remember I would just be crying like every night. I lived with my partner for about 1 year, and throughout that time it was just honestly soul-sucking, and I lost so much of myself. I didn't know who I was. I kept giving to the point where I literally didn't have anything left to give. And the thing is, the breakup was really, really hard, obviously, but I wouldn't say that's when I started feeling really depressed. I think my reaction was normal towards a breakup, and this is where depression and the word clinically depressed, mental health versus mental illness kind of comes into play. We all have mental health, good days, bad days. A normal reaction from a breakup, from losing somebody you love, is to be sad and hurt and cry. A mental illness, however, is feeling maybe all those ways with no particular reason. Being sad over a breakup is normal. We all go through that. However, being sad to the point where it consumes your life, and maybe even after a few years, not knowing what causes you this feeling of heaviness and emptiness, and it really affecting your everyday life, is something beyond mental health. And that's something I started feeling maybe 2 years after that relationship. Anyways, I recovered. I was starting to heal. I got into another relationship. We don't have to talk about that. But really, after that relationship, I started to realize that a lot of my anxieties stemmed from relationships and other people. And I think that was because I needed validation from other people to feel loved, because I couldn't feel that way to myself after being with someone for 1.5 years who just sucked that away from me. Summer of 2016 or summer of 2017 was when things got really, really bad. And at the time, I lived alone. I was in school and I couldn't get out of bed for 2-3 months. I missed classes, and honestly, I failed a class. And I used to be really ashamed of holding that in and not letting people know, just because generally I went to a school that was super competitive and GPA matters, and I did do well eventually in the last semester when I actually went to classes. I'm gonna say right now, I didn't go to school for 3 months and I failed a course, and I think that was a turning point in my life. But before that, things got really bad where I couldn't get out of bed. I wasn't seeing friends. I was just feeling super empty, heavy, really low, depressed, heavy, just for no reason, just cause. And that went on for a while, and to escape those feelings, I turned to alcohol as well as self-harm. When I say turn to those things, I really, really really abused those things. I would just like chug vodka every night and get drunk by myself. And I was like probably drunk for like 28 days straight. And then I would sober up for 2 days and then I would do it again. And during that time I was sleeping around, and then I would resort to other things like cutting and self-harm, and I would cut 3 to 4 times a day every day. I still have scars, but they've for the most part healed, and I used to have really bad scars on my wrists, and that's actually why I got this tattoo, to cover up most of my scars, but that was sort of the meaning behind it. It's a rose. I don't know if you can see it. It's just like a rose that I got in Thailand, and the lady did such an amazing job with it. But anyways, a turning point for me when I knew I needed to get help was when my dog started puking one day, and I was like, oh my god, why is she puking? And it was yellow bile. Bile? Is that what it's called? Bile? And then I googled it, why is my dog puking, whatever, and it's like, oh, dogs usually puke because they haven't been fed. And I realized I hadn't fed her in like 2 days. That alone just made me break down and cry, because I realized that the shape I was in was affecting her and her health, and I couldn't even take care of her because I couldn't even take care of myself. That's when I started going to the doctors. I had an amazing doctor, her name's Megan, at my university. I started seeing her regularly. She would check up constantly on my moods, but nothing really was helping. While I was really depressed, I would also have a lot of panic attacks where I would wake up and my chest would be so heavy and I'd be hyperventilating, and it got so bad that I would like puke eventually. That was when we really reevaluated things, and I remember her suggesting medication to me, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do medication. I'm gonna like figure this out on my own, like it's fine. A few months passed by, nothing, and I realized that really there was no other option. Like I was either gonna keep living like that and, God forbid, not be here right now. So I said yes to the medication, and then I started off on a pretty low dosage escitalopram, 10 milligrams. I think the brand name is Lexapro, Cipralex, but it's an antidepressant which goes hand in hand with anxiety and depression. And I was on that for 8 weeks until I started to feel something. The side effects were kind of not so great. Within the 8 weeks I was always tired and whatever, but like I was feeling like that anyway, so I was like, whatever. After 8 weeks was when I started to notice that I started to feel joy again in my life and feel happy. Little like moments. It wasn't like one day I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy again. It was like, oh, like today was like an alright day, I think, then after that I gradually started feeling better and better. I threw away all of my alcohol. I stopped keeping sharp objects around me in the kitchen. I just opened up and started accepting help, and I think that's the biggest thing with this, is really just accepting the help that comes your way and not being stubborn about it. I mean, you can try to get through it yourself, but it took me so long to realize that there is nothing wrong with taking medication if you need it to function and get out of bed and to just live a normal life. And there's nothing wrong with going to therapy and talking about your feelings, and there's nothing wrong with feeling the way you do, because we're all human, and like no one's perfect. And I've been on it for about over a year now, and it's honestly helped me so much, and it goes hand in hand with therapy. I think everyone should go to therapy. It's just so nice to have someone listen to you and for you to self-reflect about yourself, and you'll just find out so many things you didn't know. Trust me. Anyways, I'm getting distracted. That can be a totally different video, but things started to get better. I was going to class again. I graduated. I was working again, and just not laying in bed. I was feeding my dog again. Like, I was just functioning again like a normal human being. However, I found myself needing to increase my dosage, and my doctor had to double it a few months ago, because I think my body was just getting used to it, and I think that's the downside with the medication. It's really scary because you feel so dependent on it, but sometimes you need to go up before you go back down. After increasing my dosage, I did feel a lot better overall. Like, my mood was just like steady, but it was too much where I was feeling super numb. Yes, I wasn't breaking down and I wasn't crying, but I also wasn't really feeling. That's the thing, is just trying to find a balance between those two. Actually, last night is the first night that I'm going to be on like the new 15 milligram dosage, so we'll see how that goes. I think the moral of the story that I wanted to say is that right now I'm like, if you compare me to how I was 2 summers ago, I was like here, like this is death. I'm not even joking. And I was like, I was like pretty close. And if you looking back in comparison to how I was 2 years ago, I'm in a much much better place, and it's a process that takes time. But what helped me through that was medication. And I'm not saying, oh my God, just go out there and just take all the medication you can. I don't think it's a quick fix, and it's not a solution. It doesn't help your depression go away. It just allows you to live on a slightly higher level and not feel low all the time. And if that's what you need, that's what you need, and that's what I needed. So medication, therapy, oh my God, can't talk enough about therapy, is something that really, really helped me figure out more of my needs, my thoughts, my insecurities, where they come from, how to deal with it. I even have a self-care routine, which I think I'm gonna make a video on. I wanna share that with you. That has really helped me. Support system, being around friends who understand, and not friends who just say, oh, it's like all in your head. Friends who listen, friends who understand, empathize, and can sympathize with you. Those are the friends that will really help you get through this tough time. And your family, if you're open to sharing that with them. And honestly, just fighting through it and holding on and knowing that at the end of the day, you will eventually be at a place where you're okay. And I think one important thing to note is that like any mental illness is not just gonna go away. It's just a matter of learning how to cope with it. And I turned to unhealthy coping mechanisms, which if you feel like you're doing, stop right now. Trust me, it is not sustainable. And reaching out for professional help and seeking that is going to help you much more in the long run. So yeah, I think that's it. I really hope if you're watching this that you don't hurt yourself, because hurting yourself will hurt me, and that was something I struggled to comprehend when I was in that space. But it's gonna hurt the people around you more than you know. I would reach out to your friends, reach out for help, call a hotline. Honestly, I've done that once. It was super, super helpful. I think as cliche as it sounds, I just wanted to make this video to let you know that you're not alone, and literally millions of people like myself, we go through the same thing. We're human. We will have our bad days, and if those bad days turn into worse days and those worse days last longer, then there's nothing weak or shameful about admitting that you can't go through this on your own, because I couldn't go through it on my own. And if I had just continued to be in that path where I was like, oh my God, I don't need help, no, I wouldn't be here today. I'm gonna drink some coffee and I think read a book, because all this is very heavy right now. But I love you so much. I say this in every video. I really, really mean it. I really care about you. And yeah, I hope I can talk to you like this more often. And I will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye. I also totally forgot that I locked my dog in my bedroom because she was barking too much, and she's probably still in there, so I'm gonna bring her out.